All right, happy Christmas Eve, you magnificent bastards. I don't think I'm allowed to say that without Rex. I think he actually copyrighted. You know what's funny? I think he copyrighted that, and I now owe him $50 for using a copyrighted term on TV. Today is 50-year-old whiskey, half-century blend from the Blended Whiskey Company. And I've talked about the Blended Whiskey Company a few times. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. They're bringing class, just like Compass Box, they're bringing class to the whiskey trade. Rex, do you want a 50-year-old whiskey? I gotta drink out of this? I gotta drink out of a miniature mason jar? Can I have a glass, please? Yeah, Mooch.
Get all the glasses you want.
I'm gonna have to pause this video. Give me a damn glass. That's a good thing you know what's funny? Here's what Rex doesn't realize. I'm such a nice person. I actually saved more than I poured because I was gonna give Rex more of the blend. No, I was gonna give Rex more of the blend, but then he took mine, and so I get more of the blend. Backfired, didn't it?
Yeah, that's some retroactive.
Yeah, no. This is a rule growing up in our family and friends' family that was if you had to share something with someone, one person got to cut and the other person got to choose. It increased fairness. All right, so we're doing a 50-year-old mix of blended malt or of malt whiskeys and grain whiskeys. I'm not entirely certain where this comes from. They don't even say. But that means we're getting whiskey that was created in the 60s, right? 70s maybe, or a mix of. Because remember, 50 just means the youngest age. There could be some older whiskeys in there. And that is before the whiskey boom, when we were still doing less efficient production measures. And so this is this is like early Bond era whiskey production. That's just cool to me. To think that what you're holding in this glass was created... I'm holding this glass was created at least 20 years or 15 years before I was born, possibly. That's amazing. Or I should say at least 10 years, because I'm getting older. Oh man, usually when you get a grain whiskey, you get all those sharp, sparkly notes. And they're in there, but even more in there is there's dark, kind of tobacco-y leather notes in there. Man, that nose is interesting. I get this weird combination of something that feels like it could be as rich as like a Macallan or a sherried whiskey, but at the same time it's bright and sharp like a grain whiskey, and it can't decide which one wants to take charge. I wonder what the taste is going to be like. I really can't get in there. It feels like I'm trying to make out a silhouette or a face of someone whose back is to a bright window. That's what it feels like. And I can make out some of their features, but they're backlit by a bright window. And so I'm getting a character in there, but I'm getting all these shining bright notes coming out around their face. I can't get behind that. Ah, there it is. That's still bright. I wonder what the alcohol percentage is on that. It's only 46. You gotta hand it to a company that is willing to take 60-year-old whiskey, 50-year-old whiskey, and not water it down to get the most bottles they possibly can. Who stops at 46. That's impressive. That's impressive. Well done, Blended Whiskey Company. I think I'm getting more chocolate notes. It's still aggressive and sharp and bright, but behind it is this... Rex, I'm going to need the rest of your glass to understand this whiskey completely. No, I know it's in that. I'm not putting that in there. Oh, he tried to hand me a Springbank. You know what's funny is this actually reminds me of Ben Riach. It's brighter than Ben Riach, but and it's not as sherried as Ben Riach. I should say not as sherried as the Macallan or the Glendronach. Man, I wish I had a full bottle of that. All right, well, it has been a journey. This Whiskey Advent Calendar marks the second year. So essentially this calendar marks the 1 year anniversary of starting this channel. And the journey has been crazy. I started it because I thought it was going to be a resource for our sommeliers. That's it. I really didn't think anybody was going to watch it. Hell, I had a career in the music industry for 20 years and no one watched my videos. So I started shooting whiskey videos thinking, you know, maybe we'll get a couple hundred people watching these things and our sommeliers will share it on their Facebook pages or they'll use it as helpful tips when they're creating whiskey tasting events. And then we started the Whiskey Advent Calendar and it sort of jumped really fast from almost no one to like 500 people. And then Rex started hanging out and drinking my extra whiskeys, which makes this a true return to history. And then I drugged Rex onto camera, and then Rex actually started going, oh, people are actually watching this. Maybe we should do it legit instead of the way that Daniel was doing it. So he's like, no, we got to get off of the table, the energy shit. We got to get it to a barrel. And we moved to a barrel, and then we get 1,000 more subscribers. And then we now we got to lift this thing, and then the story then the mooch shows up, and then the necklace shows up, and then it just kind of spiraled out of control. Then we hit our first 10,000 subscribers, and we did a live stream, and then we start talking about the Whiskey Tribe, and we started Facebook page starts without us. And it gets to thousands of people. And then we start Whiskey Tribe. And in a month, we have, almost 3,000 people in the Whiskey Tribe Facebook page and in the newsletter. And I'll tell you, last week, Rex put in the Whiskey Tribe, hey, send in a toast. And, send in the toast, the I'm a magnificent bastard and may you drink with us. And he was going to use it for a welcome video, among other things, possibly. And I think he and I, when I found out about it, thought we'd maybe get 30 people, maybe 50 people to send in some stuff, and that'd make some good video content. And then I went back and looked at it one day, and I started watching a handful of videos. I'm scrolling through the comments, and we're into the 200, 300 range. And I start watching videos of you guys saying, I'm a magnificent bastard and may you drink with us, or giving some comment about, and I start reading the emails that you're sending, replying to Whiskey Tribe, explaining why you got involved with Whiskey Tribe and why you signed up for the newsletter. And I tell you, it kind of freaked me out a little because I think of you as roughly 50 people. And that's a sentence I stole from one of my close friends and one of our sommeliers, Gordon Atkinson. And he's been writing forever, and I've been reading his writing for 20 years. And I remember this phrase he used when he had a blog that had an unbelievably high amount of people reading it, but it had started with just like 10 people. And he said, in order to stay sane, I think of you as roughly 50 people. And I realized as I'm watching all of these toasts that you guys put in, I'm seeing your actual face and seeing, your home or wherever you're shooting your video. And all of a sudden you became real people instead of just this amorphous crowd of this mass. And it freaked me out a little. And I tried to figure out, why is this freaking me out? And it's because I think of you guys as roughly 50 people. I think of you as just a small little group of our kind of crazy people whose names I sort of know and recognize. And to realize that the count and the amount of people who have really joined this kick-ass community of anti-snob whiskey drinkers, I feel incredibly grateful. So thanks for letting us be a part of this journey and joining the tribe and being along for the ride. And thanks for being one of my 50 people. Happy Christmas to you and yours. Happy Boxing Day, the best part of the Christmas break. And until tomorrow, may your crazy stay this side of legal, and may you return before we have time to miss you. Cheers.